Good evening. My name is Samantha Wiley. Good evening, my name is Samantha Wiley. I'm a native, Crockett native. I was born and raised in the city of Crockett. I have lived in my precinct for 20 years, and I have lived in this wonderful city for 47 years. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I started working at Crockett Walmart. I was a supervisor there, and I also was a supervisor at Crockett State School and Liberty Tax Services. I currently work for Adult Protective Services. I am the voice and the advocate for the elderly and disabled. I come from a Christian background. My family is everything to me. My grandkids calls me Gigi. I received my bachelor's from Sam Houston State University in Business Administration. Therefore, I can do a check and balances on the finances of the city. I am driven, passionate. I seek answers and results. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ivy, same question. You would tell us about yourself and your background.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Ivy. I was born in Crockett a minute ago, but I was raised in the neighboring county, Madison County. But I moved here in 1986. My family, we came here in 1986, and since then and through the years, I have pastored Harvest Church for 32 years. I previously pastored a church out in the community of Porter Springs for 4 years. But since we've been here, we at our church we started a food bank many years ago, where we have this outreach each month, and where we feed the people in our county that need help each month. And I put a pencil to that the other day, and through the years that we've done it, we've given out over $500,000 of food just through the food bank. But also each year we do the Thanksgiving dinner, where we serve all the folks in our county that have a need. And so my heart is helping people. And since we've been here, we have bought and sold properties not only in the city of Crockett, but in the county of Houston. And so I have been a tax-paying citizen since we've been here. We recently sold our property out in Pennington, Texas, and actually was in Houston County, but a Pennington address. And then we moved over on Houston Street. Okay, I'm out of time. Huh? 20 seconds. Well, I'll yield that to someone else. But I thank you for the opportunity to be here, and appreciate all of you folks coming tonight. God bless you.
Mr. James.
Last but not least. First of all, I'd like to thank the City of Crockett, the Expo Center, or Civic Center, excuse me, Mayor, City Administrator, all the business owners, churches in town, and most of all, everybody here tonight to listen to us talk about ourselves.
Run out of time.
Harassment already, look at that. My name's Jodon James. My wife Tracy is here with me tonight. I'm a old West Texas boy from the little town of Clyde, Texas. It's about 10 miles east of Abilene. And until I was 16, I thought the whole world was red dirt and mesquite trees. And then I got a chance to travel, and I figured out there was trees and green grass year round. So we got here as quick as we could. We've been here 4 years. My background has been in public safety. I'm a firefighter, paramedic, up to fire chief. I've been deputy sheriff, arson investigator, tactical paramedic, instructor, investigator, things like this that has just brought me all over the country. I want to make sure that everybody understands I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for a position. I have the unique ability to bring 45 years of experience of inside public safety and inside city governments. I've worked with city, county, state, and federal agencies. I've met with Fortune 500 CEOs, department heads, heads of state, I have the unique ability to be able to look at the city government from the inside out instead of the outside in. I understand how things work. I understand administrative codes and rules and regulations. Just want you to know that nobody brought me here, but nobody asked me to do this. I just want to offer what I have to offer and be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. James. Mr. Ivy, would you like to start us off with this next question? As someone who wants to be on our city council, what role do you think a city council member should play in helping grow our city and helping our community?
Well, I think that the city council, is the governing body of the city, unless otherwise provided in the charter. And the council enacts ordinances subject to the approval or the veto of the mayor. It orders elections, levies taxes, public improvements, approves or denies contracts, adopts traffic regulations, public works, infrastructure, pretty much the entire welfare of the city.
Very good, yes, sir. Now, before we go on, I do notice some people are standing. Is everybody comfortable? We can actually open this sort of wall. It's an openable wall. And there are more chairs behind it, if that's all right, just to make sure. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Ivy. Sorry for the interruption. Every once in a while, you see a military parade on video, or one of the soldiers just goes down standing for a while. We don't want anything like that. Thank you. Bless you. There we go. Well, we might put a big screen in the parking lot for the overflow crowd. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Next, Mr. James, you ready for question number 2, sir? If you will, sir, tell us what role you think a city council member can have in helping to grow and help our city.
First and foremost, they should be liaisons for all the people in the community, not just the people in the precinct that you're elected to. Be able to willing and able to work long hours with all the sectors, have an open door policy and an honest dialogue with your constituents. You need to have people comfortable in coming in and speaking with you and asking questions and deserving and expecting honest answers. Need to be a good resource, not only for the citizens, but for the administration as well. A lot of times people forget about that aspect. They don't think about the administration and the load that they have put on them and the expectations. And if the council can be an assistant to that, take some of the load off, the city works more smoothly and fluidly. Should be able to give time and resources for extra efforts where they're needed, not only with the city, but with the community, not just with city business, but with community activities and fund drives, festivals, whatever needs to be done for the city to make this a more popular place and more successful place to live. It needs to be accessible to the city and its citizens on a consistent basis, not just when it's convenient for him or her. It needs to be able to be contacted at all times and should always be mindful that they are a guardian of the city's resources, funds, and reputation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wiley, if you will, please. Again, the question, what role do you think a city council member should have in helping our city?
The role the city council members have is to serve the city. The city council members can help the city by addressing the concerns of the city at large. Not only address them, or act upon them. The city council members can help the city by being engaged in community, by knowing what's going on, and then you get a true concerns of the citizens. The city council members need to base their decisions on facts, research, data, and not personal beliefs, opinions, or personal gain. The city council members will help the city by developing unity amongst each other and other entities. That will help the city council members, help the city by letting everybody know what's going on, communicating informative information to everyone, not certain people. Everyone needs to know what's going on so everybody can be informed, so everybody can make the best decision for the city, not just one person. That will the way the city council member will help make the city grow better.
Thank you very much. All right, sorry about that. Question number 3, let's start with, let's see, who are we starting with this time? I'm keeping a list here, so it's, everybody doesn't say. Mr. Jodan James, it's your turn again. Yeah, how about that?
All right.
Now, you hear often from the people that we elect somebody and then we don't see them for 2 or 4 years. So the next question kind of regards, what is your plan to interact with and be accountable to the people in your precinct?
Okay. First and foremost, I'm not a one-horse show. Not just here for one time and be gone. My wife and I have relocated here. We love Crockett. We've adopted it as our forever home unless the good Lord wants us to go somewhere else. So I'm going to be around. I'm not just here for a little while and then run off to something else. I always try to keep open communication line with anyone I interact with, because lack of communication is most often an unnecessary source of aggravation and dissent. It causes unnecessary problems that can be resolved with just people talking to each other. We've forgotten how to do that, or we choose not to. Everybody's so involved with their cell phones and their texting and their computers. Nobody knows how to talk to anybody anymore. My wife will tell you, I don't have that problem. I want to attend social and professional activities in the city, be involved with the community, with the churches, the Lions clubs, the schools, everybody that comes into town. They need to know that we are accessible, that we are a friendly and cordial town. I want to utilize, schedule face-to-face meetings and activities, written communications. I'll utilize the social media and electronic stuff. I'll send out mail-outs. I will have things on the radio and in the newspaper. I will make myself available. Doesn't matter. I want to establish a regularly scheduled meeting, maybe a quarterly meeting, where people can come to a venue and ask their questions, sit down one-on-one or in a group and throw things at me. I'm not scared. It's all right. I've dealt with city managers before. Always, lastly, my email and phone number will be accessible to everybody, and anytime they need me, I'll be able they'll be able to get in touch with me.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Wiley, if you would join us again at the podium, please. And the same question, how do you plan to interact with and be accountable to the citizens of Precinct 1?
I plan on being available and visible in the community. I plan on educating myself on the policies, the procedures, the laws, and the city charter. Because in order for me to help the community in my precinct, I need to know the rules and regulations. I will not only hold myself accountable, I will hold others accountable. If I know the information, my precinct will know the information. And I'm not only concerned about my precinct, I'm concerned about the entire city. Because one voice, one team, that's what we're about, unity. And I will be in the community, I walk my streets, and I'll be knowledgeable of my streets. So if I don't know what's going on, I'm just sitting by holding the position. I'm not about holding the position. I'm about doing the footwork. That's the only way you would know what's going on in your precinct, in the city. And also, we got a lot of assets in the city. We got people with a lot of skills that can help the city. So I'm gonna be out in the community seeking help, because we can't do this by ourselves. It's not I and team. Also, I want to make sure I communicate when the meetings are, the information from the meetings, and what changes are in the city. I'm about making sure everybody aware of what's going on, so as a city, we can grow together and not be divided.
Excellent, thank you, ma'am. And Mr. Ivy, will you please, sir, tell us your plan to interact and be accountable with citizens of Precinct 1.
Thank you, sir. I believe as pastor, actually for the last 36 years, I have, through the course of that time, I've ministered to all different types of personalities and have related to all different types of personalities and tried to help everyone that I can. And in doing so, and I've always had a heart for people, helping people in their situations. And I believe through that, I've just received training. You know, the Bible says that wisdom cries from the streets. And by the way, I try to live my life according to the Word of God. I just want to let you know that. And the Bible says that wisdom cries from the streets. You can learn a lot from the streets. You can learn a lot, meaning out in the world, you can learn a lot. So I feel like I've learned a lot how to relate to people, and I listen, and I just have a heart to help people. You know, when I was going to Bible school, I was going to Bible school in Dallas. I was out during the day selling vacuum cleaners, knocking on doors. That's not an easy job. And so then I sold insurance. I've been out amongst people all of my life. The first half of my life, I was an entertainer. So I related to people in that way. And the last half of my life, I've actually lived half of my life here in Crockett, Texas, my wife and I. And since then, it's always been working with people. So I feel like I'm very capable of working with all types of people and helping in any and every situation that I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ivy. All right, Ms. Wiley, if you'll get us started. See, we're already halfway through. I told you, blink twice, you'll miss it. Next question for Ms. Wiley, just kick us off. What is the most crucial and important thing Precinct 1 needs?
The most crucial, important thing Precinct 1 needs is infrastructure, road development. I didn't go by my own opinion. I went and walked the streets and I asked everybody else, what you think what the things that we need in this precinct? They said roads. My roads are horrible. And the sewage system. So the most crucial thing that majority of the people I've spoken with said infrastructure and road development.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Ivy, if you would join us again, please. In your opinion, sir, what's the most crucial, important thing Precinct 1 needs to be done?
Well, I have to agree, it's infrastructure, but also started paying attention since we live on Houston Street, that there's about the average of from before daylight to after daylight through the course of the morning, there's probably around 600 cars that go down Houston Street. And I'm sure it's the same way over on Goliad, because those are the two most trafficked eastern streets that we have. And I believe it's infrastructure, and I know in the coming, in the future, I believe Crockett is going to grow, and it is now, not just the city, but the county. And so we're going to have to deal with, the growth. And so that's going to be required, infrastructure.
Okay, very good. And Mr. James, sir, if you would tell us your opinion on the query of the most crucial and important thing in Precinct 1, sir.
Well, a lot of people are not going to expect this answer. I tend to think outside the box and don't come up with canned answers. Not that these are canned answers, I don't mean to insinuate that by any means. But I'm going to give you some insight that I've gained from speaking with people in the precinct and around the city. And it's probably not going to be a popular answer, but this is what I've come up with. Always, the infrastructure's first and foremost on people's minds. Streets, roads, water, sewer. And I know these projects are in the works. I've spoken with Mr. Angerstein and the fire chief and fire marshal and the police chief to get an better understanding of where things are going and what is coming down the pike for us. But sadly, to me, the biggest answer that I got, and a lot of people will not like this, but I'm just telling you what I found out. It's not a physical need, but a need and desire to be able to trust, believe in, and depend on the administration and the city council. They've been disappointed and let down. Whether that disappointment and letdown is realistic or perceived, that was the answer I got more times than not. They don't have faith in us, whoever us is. Not the current one, not necessarily the current people in position, past positions held as well. They want hard work, honesty, and dependability, and cohesive leadership for everybody to work together, and for the elected people to help lead the city in the future. I can assure you, the job that brought me here was with the State Fire Commission. I was inspecting fire departments. I had to deal with uncooperative fire chiefs who didn't want me to find out things that I wasn't supposed to find out to make them look bad. I'm not going to be pushed off, put to the side. I'm not going to be left out on inconsistencies or questionable choices. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. All right, Mr. Ivy, if you'll lead this question off. Obviously, there's a big, lot of talk in our community about the CEIDC, the Corporation for Economic Development, and as a city council man or woman member, y'all would get a vote on what happens with that, vote for a board member. So, sir, if you will please answer, what future do you see for CEIDC?
Well, first of all, I believe that it's a good thing. We need industry here in our city, in our county. But any entity, any business, and I've owned different types of businesses all of my life. Any business, or any church for that matter, any organization will rise or fall through leadership. So leadership, good leadership, is required for anything. So I believe that the Crockett Economic Development, I believe that it is a great thing. But we need also, in order for it to be a great thing, we need great leadership.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. James, your turn at the mic, sir. Again, what future do you see for CEIDC?
Sadly enough, we're all aware of the current turmoil involved with the economic development. And honestly, from my personal and professional opinion in dealing with these organizations over the last 45 years, I don't see it coming back under the current leadership. It has had too much negative publicity, too many questions. When you have ongoing investigations year after year, from local all the way up to federal investigations involved with what's going on with this, something's wrong somewhere. Investigations will continue in the foreseeable future, and it doesn't look like it's going to produce a conducive outlook for the success in its current format. Outside businesses and industries, as well as the citizens of Crockett, all of you are sitting here and so many more, can't possibly be expected to depend on it and have positive influence on the future of our town. These situations have to be resolved, have to be held accountable, and results must be achieved. Once these are done, I feel that a reconfiguration of economic development and industrial development need to be separated into two different entities, because in that format they can do other things that they're not allowed or able to do under law about it right now. Continuation with the current structure and personnel, I don't think will provide a positive results for the citizens of Crockett.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Wiley, questions to you now. What future do you see for CEIDC?
The city of Crockett needs economic development. I can't see this city reaching its full potential without economic development. As far as the future of CEID, it depends on the powers that be. But as far as I'm concerned, that the future of CEIDC and the growth of this city are tied together.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. All right. Last question, Mr. James, we'll begin with you this time. See, you said last but not least.
Comes around fast.
It comes around. The last question is a chance for the candidates to kind of sum up and give us their "here's who I am" speech. So, the question to you, sir, why you, why now?
Why not me? Somebody's got to do it, right? Okay, there's a lot to be said for the old guard, but sometimes the old guard needs to move on. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, nothing's going to happen. I don't have any special interest wanting me to do this. I wasn't asked to do this by anybody. I recognize that I have a unique set of skills with my last 45 years of my job set, dealing with all aspects of city, county, state, and federal governments. My biggest experience is in emergency services, serving people, and that's what I do, is I serve. I'm not here to be part of your group. I'm not here to be part of your special interest. I'm here to serve the entire city. I'm a fresh set of eyes that are able to look at things from the inside out, know how things work from behind the scenes and why they have to work behind the scenes the way they do. I'm familiar with state codes, administrative codes, fire codes, life safety codes, building codes. The list goes on. I've worked with many outside agencies, including, I thought you were supposed to turn that off.
You know, the sad part is I wrote that in the speech. I don't want it.
I've worked with a lot of outside agencies, including international ones. I'm currently the Vice President of the International Firefighter Cancer Foundation. I have been fortunate enough to stand side by side with those on the floor of the U.S. Senate and argue for firefighter benefits with occupational cancers. I'm not scared to talk to people. I'm not scared to seek results. I'm not scared to question those in authority. I'm not shy. A lot of people aren't going to like this. I'm not shy. I'm very seldom reserved unless the situation warrants. I don't cater special interest, and I don't even pretend to be politically correct. If that's what you want, I'm not the guy. If you want standard run-of-the-mill candidate to fill the seat, I'm not your guy. If you want somebody to sit back and go along with status quo, I'm not that guy. If you want somebody to think outside the box, be receptive to listening and presenting ideas and new thoughts and issues, here I am. All roads lead to Crockett. Crockett's poised for an experienced, positive future growth, and are we ready for it? Comes around too fast.
I stole a little bit of your time. I'm sorry. Gave me a little extra. Okay, thank you. Because of the spam call that came in right now. Ms. Wiley, if you will, ma'am. Last question to you today will be, once again, why you and why now?
Why Samantha? Why not? It is a good question to ask. This city needs somebody that's proactive, knowledgeable, concerned about the citizens, and not afraid to fight for what is right. This city needs someone that has character, ethics, morals, integrity, and will do the right thing. This city needs someone that is about change for the better. This city needs someone like me. Someone who's not afraid to fight for what's right, and your voice will be heard, and everybody's voice will matter with me. It's not that your voice will matter because you got this amount of money or this amount of money. Everybody's voice matters with me. Why Samantha is a good question, and I just answered that. But the true answer to the question will be when I get elected into office. Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. Ivy, if you please tell us why you, why not?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I don't have any axes to grind. I've spent my life serving people. I served 2 different terms on the Chamber of Commerce, I think a total of 6 years totally on the Chamber of Commerce, helping them I was one of the ones that started the state cook-off, and I worked along beside, I think 2 or 3 different executive directors. And I don't like to say it, but out on my table out there is the award I received from the Lions Club. It's the highest award that you can get for service. It's a Jack Reich Fellow Award. And as, again, serving in our community in so many different ways, and as pastor of Harvest Church for those many years, I've served a lot of people. I've served a lot of families in hard times. And so I just have a desire. I may not be the most qualified person up here running for this position, but I can tell you this much, my heart is in it, and I'll give everything that I have to see, because I believe in Crockett, at the city of Crockett, but also all the good things that happen in the city of Crockett, the entire county is affected and appreciates that as well, because Crockett is the county seat of Houston County, which to me, Houston County is one of the greatest counties in the state of Texas. I've been all over. I used to be an entertainer, traveling. I know every back road in Texas, and I've been to all of the little potholes in Texas. And I've said this before, I love Houston County, I love the people in Houston County, and I love little bells that ring. God bless y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for our three candidates in Precinct 1? That's all the questions I got? Was the water free? Yes, it is. You can have it. All right. Everybody all right? Anybody need a bathroom break or anything? We're ready to go to our mayoral race? Very good. If you will, please join me. We're going to welcome our two mayoral candidates tonight, each of which asked me where the orange suit was. So we're not going to talk about that. Well, we'll talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our challenger for the mayoral position, Mrs. Connie Strabon. And also with us tonight, of course, our incumbent mayor, Dr. Ianthea Fisher. So just as in our previous round, we call it a round, I guess, but our previous session, we are going to ask each of the candidates 7 quick questions. They will have 2 minutes each to answer. Ms. Balmer has already had Bell experience, very good. I want a chalupa or a taco right now for some reason. All right.
The mayor needs her glasses.
Ms. Balmer, don't take that from her tongue. If my own phone hadn't gone off, I would have been stricter, but this one I can't really. All right. Well, Ms. Strabon, if we can, let's begin with you this round. And if you will, please tell us about yourself and your background.
Okay, my name is Connie Strabon. I am running for mayor, as he just told you. A little bit about my background. I've been here in Crockett for 17 years, married to my husband Leland, and I am currently a real estate broker. My office is on the square. Most people say, "Where's your office?" They all know where Betty Boop's is. That's our building, and my office is in the front and upstairs. Between the two of us, we have 4 children. We have 5 grandchildren, of which we're very proud. I started out a couple of minutes ago, Dennis, or whoever said that a while ago, as a registered nurse. I was coronary care trained. I was head nurse of intensive care and coronary care, doing resuscitations, yada, yada, et cetera. Then I went back to school and became a certified registered nurse anesthetist. I did anesthesia for some years. I also taught in a hospital that was a teaching institution, so I did teach anesthesia primarily in surgery. So I feel like the background I have had, I've also been in business development since then. I ended up in real estate. I've always loved real estate, had an interest in it, never dreamed I'd be working in it. But I have been, since I've been in Crockett, I've been on planning and zoning the last couple of years or so. and also am president of the Downtown Crockett Association. We have accomplished many things in the last 2 years, and I hope to be able to address that in just a little bit.
Yes, ma'am, thank you very much.
And I'll give you the team.
Dr. Fisher, if you'll tell us about yourself and your background, please.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Anthea Fisher, and my life, just to tell you where I stand, my life is governed by my beliefs, and I believe in God, family, community, and education. And you know what? I think it's the perfect fit for this community. I believe in city government because it was instituted by God. And because it was instituted by God, I believe that it should be done justly and fairly. As you know, I am a native, basically, of Crockett. Moved back here, said I wouldn't come back, loved it, stayed. I'm a wife of 42. May 6th will be 43 years. Never thought it would go that long, but to God be the glory. My husband and I have successfully raised 3 children in this community, have 3 grandchildren and 3 bonus that go with the other part of it. I'm a 1975 graduate of Crockett High School. I'm a graduate at that time. I have my certification, my ABCs. I have a doctorate in education administration, a Bachelor of Science in criminal justice, and a Master's of Arts in criminology. I have teaching certificates in English and sociology. I have a mid-management in administrative leadership. I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and I'm a licensed ordained minister, which is my greatest accomplishment by way of God. I have 5 years working with juvenile delinquency, 35 years in education, from early childhood all the way up to adult ed and at the university level. Worked on a lot of projects, did a lot of time, have devoted my entire life since I've been adult to taking care of the city of Crockett in some form or fashion. Thank you.
And Dr. Fisher, if you'd like to stay, we'll have you wait.
One more time.
Oh, you wanna take a-
Okay.
Is that all right if we alternate like that back and
That's
forth?
much better.
Okay.
That'll work.
All right, so, next question, Dr. Fisher, give us some of the advantages and disadvantages that the city of Crockett faces now and in the next few years, please.
You know, I like the term advantages. When you look at the city of Crockett, the greatest advantage to it is that it's built around, it's a historical community. We all know that it's the 5th oldest city in Texas. And because of that, keeping tradition is alive. And that's a good thing because you have a base to work from. You begin to see the character of the community. You recognize that this community has been built around Christian principles and that the laborers are well-rounded. It's a God-loving community. It's family-oriented. It's a hard-working people and who are willing to work together. And so the advantage of this is that the community has a foundation, an established foundation throughout the years. Disadvantages, not so much the people and what their intent and what they're capable of. When you have a historical community, you have historical problems. Everybody has mentioned the infrastructure and all of those things that go with, and we have buildings that we have to consider because of historical tradition, whether to demolition or rather to revive. And so we're always faced with the infrastructure, what's underneath. We were proud of our wooden pipes, and there's still some in the city, believe it or not. And so some of the disadvantages, it's not that, those are things that we've inherited, but those are things that we're proud of, but those are things that we're gonna always have to improve on. So it is a challenge, and I don't consider it a disadvantage, but I consider it a challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. Ms. Strabon, same question, some of the advantages and disadvantages to our fair city.
Okay, as a real estate broker, having moved to Crockett, as I said, 17 years ago, I've had the advantage of being in a lot of different places and recognizing both the growth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. I feel like Crockett has a lot more advantages than disadvantages. I feel like that it is extremely important for us at this time to take hold of where Crockett is and where it's going. As a real estate broker, I see what's happening in Crockett, One of the advantages is our location. We have what everyone primarily in the nation is looking for right now. That is land. And as I told my agents, I have 9 agents in my real estate office with 2 more coming on shortly. And I did say, you know, look, y'all, we're Mayberry. Unfortunately, I did have a couple of people who are young enough who said, what's Mayberry? And I went, no, tell me I'm not that old. But anyway, we have people coming to Crockett. We need to be able to adequately be proactive rather than reactive, okay? I have watched this happen. I have watched this happen in Fort Worth. I've also watched it happen in my hometown of League City, Texas, which was 5,000 people when I was there a couple of years ago as a child, and is now about 115 or 20,000. The same will happen in Crockett. Hopefully, I'll get to tell you a little more about it.
If you want to, I'll stay.
Okay,
That's
sure.
the next one.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Vaughn, that leads us into the next question, actually. There's 2 schools of thought. One says we want Crockett to explode. One says Crockett's big enough, or growth brings more problems. So in your estimation, what growth should there be in Crockett, and how do we achieve that growth?
Okay. Concerning the growth, here's the situation. And I hear both sides of that coin all the time as I interact with people in my real estate work. They're coming whether we want them or not, okay? In that regard, we have no choice, okay? I mean, unless we just put the clamps on Crockett, which I don't think most people want to see. But in the last 2 years, count them, me and my 9 agents, okay, only. I'm not talking about any other realtors in Houston County, just us. The past 2 years, we have sold Houston County property to people from California, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Washington State, Hawaii, Canada, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Michigan, Illinois, Missouri, Georgia, Florida. Those are only the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. I meant to have my assistant make a list for me, a complete list, which I did not do. However, as I'm saying, these people are coming. I answer the phone. They're calling from Hawaii. I answered the phone one day at the office. He was calling from Japan. They are coming. I feel like having seen this before, having been through it before, in the 2 primary places that I have lived before Crockett, which was League City, Texas, and then Fort Worth, watched it happen in both places. We need to be proactive. That's what I want for Crockett, so that we achieve the best that Crockett can be, because we've got so much to offer. But we can achieve the best that we can be for every person in the community. I will fight and represent and have an open door for every person in this city and county.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Dr. Fisher, same question. What's the right amount of growth, and how do you think that can be achieved?
You know, the amazing thing about growth, I like what you said about being prepared. But you know, for the last 4 years, we've been on the ball, been working hard at it. Growth in Crockett is continuous. Since I've been in, we've made a lot of progress. You know, at this point, you know, I have to throw in my bragging rights, right? So you're going to hear a laundry list of all the great things that have been happening, which are leading the foundation for growth. It's always continuous. Okay, during this time, let's talk money. You know, everybody talk about the street. We talked about the street, the street repairs. At one point, the budget was $60,000. With the help of the grants and all the input and all the hard work, the budget is now $350,000 for last year for the streets and the sources. And overall, our street budget and all of that, it was $540,000. Now it's up to $1 million plus. Talking about prepare, we are preparing. And the projected timeline, we have 12 new streets that are already projected to be taken care of. Before, it wasn't a systematic process to identify what was going to happen and which street was going to be addressed. We've taken care of that. We've looked at the city as a whole. And what it actually tells you that with all of that projected increase, that makes it about 580% increase in funding over the previous years. Are we being prepared? Yes, we're being prepared. And over $12 million in new construction on new streets and even the water lines, and we'll be part of it. So we got a long time. We got new park equipment, we got new pavilions on both sides, all of those projects. We got an animal office, animal control, we got an animal facility shelter about to be fulfilled, new companies, new water business, and my time is about up. You want to hear more about it? We are ready, we are prepared, and we are going to keep going at the rate we're going. To God be the glory.
Dr. Fisher, if you'd like to stay.
Can I get a little water first?
Yes, ma'am, please. It was easy when there were three. Everybody got
Yeah.
a little bit of a break.
You actually had an opportunity.
Well, that's okay. I'll just ad lib. I'll tell a few jokes too. Now, obviously, all the plans in the world all require, time, money, energy. You can't do everything at once. So what would be your top 3 priorities if reelected?
Sometimes we overlook what our major resource is. After having been the mayor and after having worked in the field for a long time, one of the things that we need to work is to utilize our greatest resource, which are the people of this community. If you look around, it's a sad time when people said 20% of one group is doing the work and the other 80 is on for the ride. It is our goal that we change those stats. We at least 50% to 100% ought to be pulling their weight in some part. So one of the things that we have focus on, and I have focused on continuously, is that to bring people in all different parts. If you look at our committees now, we brought in different people that have never worked on committees, and we invited our youth are being more involved, and that's one of the things. The second thing is to learn to work smarter and not harder. We need to learn to monitor and adjust. If you see over the history of Crockett, new projects start, new people elected, everything goes out the window and they start from scratch. Why? Waste of time, waste of money, and then by the time you get to the point where you could go forward, it is time to start over again. So we have got to focus on a more systematic process. Proud to say, I think that's one of the things that we've done, because that's the reason we've been able to make such progress over the last 4 years. And also the third thing that I would recommend, our community is only as strong as its weakest point. How can you have a perfect part of your community and another part that isn't perfect? So our goal is that anything that we do for one part of the community can always be mirrored or imitated, or whatever you want to call it. Because it doesn't make much sense to go back and try to guess. If it works well here, why not try it, and why not get the information? Open communication, working together to get what we need done.
Same question, Mr. Vaughn, your top 3 priorities if you are elected.
Okay, I don't know if I can stick to 3, but first and foremost, as I said, I'm currently president of the Downtown Crockett Association. You might not be familiar with that, but it's a 501c3. It was formed about 3 years ago. One of the main things that I see for Crockett in the time that I've been here meeting all the wonderful people of Crockett is that there is so much talent, there's so much ability here, okay? We have been working very, very hard in DCA, along with planning and zoning, the city, et cetera, and we now are becoming a destination city, okay? We have developed many, many musical venues of every genre, okay? We are in the process right now, we're actually going to be adding 2 blues festivals, which will bring in a lot of people. We've got many other musical venues all around the county, not just in Crockett. So I see us promoting, my goal would be to promote the talent and the abilities that we have present right here. We just simply need to recognize those, promote those, and be able to then to develop those. And so my priorities, in addition to everything that has been said, infrastructure, obviously. That was one of the main things when we were looking to change the zoning downtown, which we did, to be able to allow residential downtown. And we worked very, very hard on that in planning and zoning for 2 years, along with the city, and did accomplish that. Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn, don't go too far. You're right. Get some water. I can stretch. Okay, obviously, there's, as has been mentioned earlier tonight, there is some disagreement in the community about the future of the Corporation for Economic and Industrial Development, CEIDC. What future would you see as mayor for CEIDC?
The CEIDC, first of all, just leaving the title and everything aside, obviously, we need economic development, pure and simple. And we desperately need good leadership and growth. I have watched the situation here. I moved up here from Palestine. I was there 10 years. And I can't help but look and contrast the two, like their business park and ours, which were both started about the same time. We need economic development. I cannot address the current situation because, as has already been pointed out, there is an ongoing investigation. We have actually been advised not to address that issue because that's for the courts and our legal system to address. However, I will tell you, we need economic development, and we need it to be functional. We need it to work properly.
Thank you. Same question. CEIDC, what future will it have if you win a second term?
You know, it is a necessary project. It is a necessary part of the city. It is an extension of the city, as it has been spoken of. I had an opportunity to visit lots of cities via the conference by way of the information they shared, and all of them had a foundation piece. Do we have some concerns? Yes, we have some concerns. But you know, just like I mentioned earlier, we have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because a lot of times we need to learn to mature the baby and move it forward. And so there are about 3 recommendations right now, and everybody have mixed feelings, just addressing programmatically itself. One of the things is that our economic development, as it's set up, is not able to reach as many people. That was a setup, and it was a wonderful setup at the time. It was for large industry. We are bumping heads with large industry simply because we don't have the manpower. And when you do have large industry and they shut down, they destroy our community for a moment. When we regroup, but they do. So we're looking to expand, and there are different formats that you can use. And one of the formats that we're hoping is one that to look forward to, that we can help our community and our smaller businesses. We can help develop them in such a way, and we can help support them and help maintain them in the community for a much longer term. The other thing that I would recommend with it is that the city now has a new financial way of handling their business. Recommendation is that looking at how the city and the economic development could work. And then another warning, you don't ever want to get rid of economic development. It was voted in, but to vote it out, you might need to know that that money go back into a pot. And anybody can go out there. So it's better to have it and try to work it out in terms of what you can use the funding for. And it's only certain things that you can use it for. You can't go build all the streets. Sorry. But you can't do it that way. Thank you.
Now, this next question I sent to the candidates, just kind of interested to see what their answer would be, but I'm going to ask you both to do this in a personal sense. So Dr. Fisher, if you'll start us off again, what will be your biggest challenge if you return as mayor? And if you would, I think people might be interested more in a personal sense than in a policy sense, if you get into that just a little.
But we're politicians.
I know. That's why I thought I'd throw a curve.
Okay, as the Karen Mayor, you know, I don't view things that are taking place as challenges. Right now, as a mayor, I found out that they were opportunities. You know, when you grow up, you see things that are going on, but you have an opportunity to interact. I said one of the biggest opportunities that I've had since is the even elected twice. One of the things that I've had is that I've been able to serve the community. Community is important to me. People are important to me. Love things, but people are important. I've been able to put myself into a position, and y'all see me, my sister said, well, do you try to get on the paper every week? I said, no, we just have a small paper. I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. But if you trace my history, there's never been a point where I was invited and I didn't show up. I have generations that I have worked with, and it's always important because I think even when in the morning when I ask the Lord, I say, God, let me go out and let me make life beautiful or better for somebody else. And as the mayor of the city of Crockett, I've had the opportunity to do that. And I'm just really excited about it because every day you can change things that can make people have a better life. And what do the other thing is that because I value, I always think that it's so important to be open to what you want. That if you need to hear me get personal with it, I'm trying to get personal, and I think that the opportunity to be visible is possible. This is a small town. And because it's a small town, you ought to know somebody, and somebody ought to know you by name. At this point in life, I can't remember all your name because I've had over 5,000 children in the education system, but I can remember your story. And it's so important that I can address your story and address you personally. So not a challenge, just an opportunity to get to know you better and to keep getting to know you even better than I know you now.
Thank you. I don't know, Dr. Fisher, I thought you were getting personal with me, so we have a small newspaper. All right, Mr. Bond, please, if you will. In as much of a personal sense as you're comfortable sharing with us, what do you think your biggest challenges will be if you were to be our mayor?
Okay, from the challenge side of things, I will say this. A good leader is not someone who gets out there and does it all. A good leader is someone who recognizes the strength that I see in you and you and you and you, and I facilitate and bring that together and help everyone to develop what we are all looking forward to in this community. So first and foremost, a challenge would be to identify which direction do we want to go? You know, we need to decide on that. Secondly, we need to utilize, there is so much talent in every aspect in this community that is going unutilized. I take it as a personal challenge to be able to help and elevate those people to lead in that area and that area and that area, because a good leader doesn't do it all themselves. They facilitate everyone else to be the best and to bring out the qualities. The business person in their business or in developing those businesses, the entertainers in making Crockett a destination. Not a few years ago, it was actually being promoted as a retirement community. I have a whole bunch of demographics that I collected over the last few weeks, but you know, our average age in Houston County is a whole lot younger than what I thought it was. It's under 40, okay? We need to be moving in that direction.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's our last question. And I don't know if that's laughter of happiness or weary relief, yes. Mr. Bond, if you will, you'll lead us off on our last question.
Okay.
Same question, your opportunity to kind of summarize what we've discussed tonight, and the question is why you and why now?
Okay, why me and why now? like I said, in the 17 years I've been here, I've met so many people. I've been put in the position as a real estate broker to meet so many of the people who are moving into Houston County. I've had the experience of working with my 9 agents, many of whom, or several of them are here and my assistant is here in the audience this evening, and they'll tell you all about working with me, okay? And what it's like, and they'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, okay? Because I think all of us probably have some of all of it. But I feel like at this point, as I mentioned before, I recognize and see, I've told many, many people, if this is Crockett and where we've been, now we're about right there, okay? And as I said, people are coming, whether we like it, whether we don't, whether we're happy, whether we're sad, they are coming. We are, from what I saw in the demographics, we could easily increase just the population of Crockett itself by close to 50% in just a short number of years. We have got to be ready for that. It's a whole lot easier to plan for it and be proactive than to try to fix the mess when you're not ready for it, okay? And a good example of that, frankly, if you want to look at wild growth that they were not ready for, look at Austin. I mean, that's what happened a whole lot in Austin. I don't want to see it here. I want our community to move forward, capitalizing on our history, but moving forward in all of these areas that we've talked about. And I appreciate your time. I really appreciate all of you coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. And Dr. Fisher, same question. Why you and why now?
Why you and why not? You know, the Bible says to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. To God be the glory, this is my season. I've had 4 years as the mayor of the city of Crockett, and God has lined up things that have worked very well for the city, and not so much for me personally, but for those that are around me. And you know, and based on my faith and my education and my community involvement and my professional experience, I've brought a level of expertise to the city of Crockett. And not to brag, but we brought a calmness, we've been able to talk, we've been able to have council meetings so that we got things accomplished. It wasn't that those things weren't on the board before. It was just there was so much unnecessary conversation that they couldn't get them passed. So, you know, I'm proud of the record and the things that I've done. But they weren't done arbitrarily. They were done systematically. You know, anytime you approach something, you have to have a system. And basically, by using 5 proven strategies, yes, we assess, we assist, we adjust, we apply, and then we advance to the goal that we've set for ourselves. And it's working very well. And so our goal is we're prepared for what comes. We're not waiting, we are in full action, and we're just moving forward, and we're moving forward at a wonderful pace. And so since this is our political theme, I have a proven track record. Anything you want to know about it, ask me. I'm here at your service, and you see me all the time. I won't talk to you as long. I have a little bit longer. But just remember that if you want Crockett to continue with its success, you need to vote for me because I'm the one you need. Have a blessed day.
Let's have a big round of applause, please, for Mr. Bond and Dr. Fisher. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and our thousands of people online. Outside in the entryway, you saw some tables. Each of the candidates will be at their table if you have any more specific questions you'd like to ask about certain things. Also, the city of Crockett has got some folks outside that can answer any questions you have about your precinct map, voting locations. Early voting begins next Monday, if I'm not mistaken. The election itself is Saturday, May the 6th. So if you have any questions about that, please come outside. And again, God bless you all. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Thank you very much.